Scentland, the land of scent. Make way, because here I come. Hello and welcome everybody. It's Chris back with yet another fragrance review, and today it's all about this fragrance. A flanker. You remember Lancome Homme from 2001, the great maple smelling fragrance? Now this one is a flanker to that, called Miracle Homme L'Aquatonique, and this was launched just 2 years after the original, and you know, despite the original being such a wonderful masterpiece, the flanker, as it's the case in many times with flankers, didn't really take off didn't really take off at all. It got barely noticed as far as I'm concerned, and as far as obviously the market is concerned, because it has been fairly quickly discontinued. You could ask why. First of all, the name, L'Aquatonique. It has nothing aquatic about it, okay? Even though I remember the marketing at the time, a bare-chested guy just coming out of the water, and it seemed to be some water freshness going on. There's nothing aquatic in here at all. It's all about dry, delicate, powdery, green, almost dusty smelling, natural vibes here, okay? Francis Courtian is the parfumeur, so we have a genius who has created this one, and he has created indeed a great smell. Now you could ask, so what's the problem then? And I'm going to come to that, okay? But first let's take a look at the composition, the blend itself, the smell itself, because it is really a nice smell. It's very refined, very delicate, indeed very French. And how does it achieve that? The top notes are fresh, green and fresh. There's some lemon at the start, but immediately a very noticeable violet note kicks in, as well as fern, okay? And you have this trio starting the fragrance. So it has an unusual but green, dusty sort of freshness to it, very dry, no sweetness in there. And then a very special note kicks in, together with some coriander, but the real special note, apart from the fern, which makes it really green, and there's one more green there, green note in there we're gonna mention. So the special note is rhubarb. The rhubarb here gives this real character, okay? So very brave attempt from Monsieur Francis Courtian to create something very remarkable, very special smelling here, yet at the same time to keep the great, elegant Lancome French touch. He managed totally to do that. So the combination of the lemon, of the violet, of the fern, and of the rhubarb with some coriander is very appealing, very nice smelling. Again, dry, dusty green, okay, mostly due to the violet green, actually. And the second green note here, along with, obviously, the fern, is vetiver, a very dry, natural smelling, not too rooty vetiver. And in the base you will find different woods. You will find Brazilian rosewood, Gaiac wood, and cedar wood, okay? So that is the structure of the fragrance, and it has a development. It goes from the initial freshness, goes a little bit deeper, goes more into the rhubarb, coriander, woody direction, with the vetiver and the fern also still lingering, and of course the rhubarb at the beginning. Later on, at the later stages, the rhubarb sort of vanishes, but overall what you get is, again, a very refined, nicely blended, very French, delicate, dry, dusty green fragrance. So you could say, wow, that sounds amazing, right? Came out in 2003. So it never smells dated, it smells modern. Natural, modern, just nice green. What's the problem? Well, the problem is the performance, I think, here. Apart from the L'Aquatonique name, which probably for the market was very misleading. Again, there's nothing aquatic in here. The performance, the sillage and projection are very low. Like, it's whispering, okay? You have to spray tons of this in order to even to satisfy yourself, because you really want to smell it, because the smell itself is great. And then you can forgive that, because it could become a second skin type of fragrance. But unfortunately, it never happens because the longevity is not good enough. On my skin, I get like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours, even heavily spraying on myself underneath the shirt, on that, and this and that, the other thing. But maybe it doesn't work with my skin chemistry, my body heat couldn't get this working. But somehow I didn't get the performance I wanted. So somehow this fragrance is falling between two chairs, really. It doesn't shout and it doesn't scream, which is okay for me. It's good. I like delicate, refined fragrances that are becoming a part of your aura, okay? They're whispering, they're like second skin. But then, if that's the case, they're lasting long, they're long lasting, okay? But this is neither of them. So these are the shortcomings of this fragrance that I think resulted in this fragrance disappearing fairly quickly as a, once upon a time flanker of the great Miracle Homme, which unfortunately got discontinued as well. So the female part still available, but the male part, for some reason, of the Lancome Miracle line is not available, not out there anymore. And this is another point. You may find this online, but I think it's going to be very expensive. And if you're somebody who's a collector, I would rather think twice before I spend big money on this, because it's just not worth it. It's a nice smell, but it's not as classy as the 70s, 80s green fragrances, or 90s, even Davidoff Good Life, for example, which is a great green fragrance, has great performance. This one smells nice, but doesn't perform and doesn't last. So why would you, if you can get this as a collector for good money, price versus quality always important, then go for it. If not, you don't really lose anything if you don't smell this fragrance, okay? And I don't want to drag it down, because after all, it's a nice, very nice smelling fragrance, but it just didn't have the performance, and it was kind of mismarketed as well. So that's why I think it ended up somewhere in nowhere land and got discontinued fairly quickly, okay? So L'Aquatonic, well, I enjoy it in the spring. It's nice. It almost looks like a body splash or an aftershave, okay? Even great as aromatherapy, because it smells so nice, but it's just gone like this. Yeah, that's all I can say. If you can find it, try it, but don't spend your hard-earned money, at least not too much on this one, because you can get better green French fragrances from Guerlain, from Dior. I won't go into that direction now, but you know what I mean. That was my Scentland opinion. And again, it's my job to bring out hidden fragrances under the radar, out of spotlight fragrances, in order to present them to you with my opinion, my personal taste, my experience with the fragrance. Maybe it still works for you, okay? So don't take everything for granted what I say. Again, it's my personal input into this fragrance and into any fragrance that I review. And, at least we talk about them. They're still here. You can still get them. You can still try them if you're a collector. Great item. Why not? And that was my take on Lancome Homme L'Aquatonic. Merci beaucoup. And I'm going to be back with more. Thanks very much. Bye-bye. This was Chris from Scentland, the land of scent. Oh, yeah.